Hi, I'm Min, and I quit my corporate job recently with no backup plan. I graduated uni in 2023 and I started working after that. I'm really just your typical Asian kid. Followed the standard Singapore path. I went to a good primary school, a good secondary school, went to JC, and then I got a good degree and found a relatively good job. This is gonna be a really chill video. I'm just gonna eat lunch in the park. I'm recording this video to remind myself of why I decided to take a career break. Unlike studying when there's a fixed period, there's a fixed end. There is no clear end to working. It would probably go on until I retire or for like the next 40 years maybe. So unlike a lot of people that quit, I think I wasn't burnt out. I didn't hate my job, but I just didn't feel alive in it. It felt like I was existing every day, but I wasn't really living. While my first job taught me so much, I just felt like I couldn't stay any longer. As someone that is not really an ambitious person, or I don't really have like a desire to climb the corporate ladder, so I have no idea what I'm aiming for. I'm not sure if you guys felt this, but I felt like I was only living on the weekends. I was counting down every week to the end of Friday so that the weekends could start, so that I could feel like myself again. And I really dreaded Mondays like crazy, and I was really struggling to handle the contrast between my weekends and holidays and the reality of my weekdays. And I was also becoming like a really mean person. My fuse became super short. I would be annoyed super easily at my family, at my partner, at my friends. And the third sign was that I just like started losing interest in everything. I just didn't have the energy to do anything. Not sure why, but like I was always so tired. It constantly felt like I was running out of time. I'm gonna be 30 soon and I have no idea what I want to do. And I'm the type of person that tends to follow the flow and the drift of things, and I think that if I don't quit now, I may never have the courage to live and discover what is it that I want to do for the rest of my life. Anyway, when I said I was quitting, none of my friends believed me, and one of my friends even bet $500 that I won't quit. So since I did in fact quit, I'm now $500 richer. Oh, and another of my friend bet $250 that I won't quit. So I have an extra $750 for my unemployment. Anyway, I think quarter life crisis is real. I only started feeling like super existential after I turned 25. Maybe because my prefrontal cortex developed. I think the biggest worry that most people my age will have is that quitting so early would affect our career negatively, and actually I think that your 20s may be the best time. Imagine you did something that you knew that you don't like, and then you do it for like a few years, and when you try to apply for jobs again, you just realize the skill sets will only allow you to apply for jobs that are the type of jobs that you don't want to do anymore. So in that sense, leaving early on in your career may actually be the right choice. At least that's what I think. Honestly, I think that our 20s are the least risky time to leave and try something else and take a break to figure out what you really want. There is lower opportunity cost, and in your 20s you probably have less responsibilities, like people that rely on you to feed them, like children. I also feel that when you're younger, it's generally easier to learn things, and people around you are also more receptive to you being new to things and learning things. When you're older, there's like this expectation from people around that you already know what you're doing. So after thinking about it for a while, I think that being in my mid-20s would be the best time to leave and figure out what it is that I want to do and to create a life that I love. And you leave so early on, there's definitely going to be a lot of judgment, especially in a society like Singapore's. So how did my Asian parents react? I actually didn't tell them that I was leaving my job until after I hand in my resignation letter, and I told them at a restaurant at a mall, and I just told them that I was leaving my job without another job lined up. And They didn't say much, honestly. They just asked what are my plans. It wasn't anything like some K-drama shit lah. I think they didn't support my decision. They also didn't strongly oppose my decision. What I felt was that they struggled to understand why I left without a job, especially in this economy when the job market is so tough, and also that I have only been working for less than 2 years. Like, older people around me would say things like, oh, what a waste of your degree. They would also say things like, oh, so fast cannot take it already. Kind of implying that the younger generation and me can't really take hardship. But actually, most of my friends and even my bosses were super understanding and encouraging of my decision. And yeah, so many people told me congrats when I told them I left my job. So I had two biggest worries that caused me quite a bit of anxiety. The first one is that I wouldn't be able to find a job after taking a break. The second one is the obvious one, which is that I won't have an income. And the best way I found to alleviate all this anxiety and anxiousness is just to make sure that you have enough money saved before you take a break. That's what I prepared as someone in my mid-20s. So first, I had 10 months of monthly expenditure. So this is like your base expenditure, like your food, your transport, your insurance, things that you need to pay every month. So before I quit, I cut down on all my monthly expenses that are recurring, like my subscriptions, and I changed my phone plan to like a lower tier one so that my monthly expenses will decrease. And I also discussed with my parents, and they understood and didn't require that I give them a monthly allowance while I was unemployed. So that was really helpful also in decreasing my expenditure. And I think the hardest part about taking a break in your 20s is that you have only been working for such a short time that you don't really have that long of a runway to have enough savings. The second thing to have is buffer expenses. The job market is like shit now, so I saved another like 3 to 4 months of expenses to account for the time that I would need to find a new job once I decided what area and what industry and what type of roles I want to apply for. Yeah, but this is just an estimated time frame, and this would really differ depending on your industry and what type of jobs you're applying for. Next one is what I call the travel and exploration fund. Because when you're unemployed, you have to take trips, because when else will you not be limited to your number of annual leave? So I tried to pay for all my trips before I left my job so that I wouldn't have to pay for it out of pocket once I'm unemployed, and that would be quite a large sum that would make me feel like more stressed out during my unemployment. I probably would want to travel more during my unemployment, so I saved up like a small amount of money for me to do so. And I'm also considering like the volunteering overseas thing, like Workaway or World Packers, so that I can travel for really cheap. And also like not just for travel, but other things that you want to learn. I think it would be good to include the amount in this fund. Last one is an emergency fund. For me, this is a really minimal amount that I've saved. Like most Singaporean kids in their 20s that are not married, I stay with my parents and I also have health insurance. I have no car, I have no house, I have no dependents. And if anything really happens, I may just draw from like my investments. So I only have like a very minimal amount saved. Depending on your responsibilities, you probably need more. I think at the end of the day, how much you have saved really depends on how long you want to take a break for, and whether your income during those periods will really be zero. Like if you have passive income or you're going to be working part-time or you have like some side source of income, then this would be less relevant for you. But I would strongly not recommend anybody to take a break unless you have sufficient savings. If not, the lack of money will constantly be at the top of your head and just would not be able to have any peace of mind. It's only been like 2 or 3 months since I left my job, but the anxiousness of not having an income is so real. Like some days I just stare at the ceiling and like at night and can't sleep. If you do not save enough, the lack of money would really just not alleviate any of the burnout or the stress that you feel, and it will also like probably stop you from trying a lot of things that you want to try. It feels like most people quit with a plan, quit to start a business, quit to join a new job, or they quit to work on things that will probably be income generating soon. But for me, I have no real plans yet. My plans are more about discovering myself. The most important question that I found myself asking is, what is my definition of a successful life? Not what my parents think, not what society thinks, but what I think would be a successful life for me. So I don't really have a plan, but I think I want to meet people who are doing different things, and I want to learn new things and learn new skills. I want to learn Japanese, and I want to learn like videography, which is also why I decided to start this YouTube channel, to really practice from zero, like not knowing anything. And I want to travel a little bit, I want to try working as a barista. I want to exercise and I don't know, maybe start a small business. I believe that career paths are not linear and taking a break or taking a detour does not mean failure. If you're in a similar position as me or you are looking to make a change in your life, follow my journey as I experiment in real time, share my travels and share my process of re-entering corporate after a break, maybe in a different industry or a different role, or maybe even take a completely non-conventional different path. So maybe, just maybe, this gap would be a complete waste of time. Maybe I'll regret it, but I really hope that it will all work out and that this gap would allow me to have a strong foundation of what I want in life before I start the next chapter of my life. So come and struggle with me as I figure out my 20s. I just have 2 reminders for myself. The first one is that a 6 months or 1 year break is nothing compared to the amount of time that you will have to be working. So 6 months or 1 year out of 40 years is nothing. So don't be stressed. And I saw this on TikTok, but just remember that the aim is really to build a life that feels good and not just one that looks good. I'm done with my lunch. Thanks for watching.